If you do go on to enjoy today's video, please remember to hit that like button and of course subscribe for more content. And if you need any coins for Ultimate Team to get a head start on the game, head to the link in the description. Use the code TVM for a discount at checkout. What is going on, guys? TVM here. Welcome back to a brand new video. And yesterday, with the release of the best players under 10k and a little break from the squad builders, I thought now would be time to come back to the squad builders and do La Liga. So if you're looking to build a fairly cheap, it's not going to be like super cheap and the team you can expect to build when you first open like I don't know, 5 packs or something. You are going to need to build towards this ever so slightly because I think there's going to be 2 players in the starting 11 that are going to cost you maybe more than 10k. Everyone else realistically should be under 10k. We're going to start off with the goalkeeper. Now it obviously doesn't matter which goalkeeper you choose. I'm going to choose a goalkeeper that I have loved ever since he was in, I think, FIFA 14, when he played for Real Madrid, when he was a bronze card. He was absolutely sensational. But 82 Pacheco, like I said, doesn't matter which goalkeeper you go for, you can choose whomever. Let's go for a player that is normally really expensive, but I think will be quite cheap this year, and that's because he's been downgraded to an 80, and that is Mark Bartra. He's normally really expensive, purely because of the links you can get from him in SBC. So at the start of the game, he should be cheap regardless because there won't be that many SBCs that require his link. Now, in terms of the other centre-back, I know who I'm going to choose, but I'm just going to give you a few options here. So Hermoso being one of them, you know, good pace, decent defensive capability, 80 rated, should be quite cheap. Not too bad for dribbling, passing, and physical. Inigo Martinez has a very similar set of stats. His dribbling and his passing does let him down slightly in comparison to Hermoso. However, he does have better defending, better physical, and it's the same for Nacho Fernandez as well. So those two are definitely, or those 3 I should say, are definitely good options. But I'm not going to go for either of those. There are other options, of course. Dejeuner is a player that I had looked at and really did consider, but he's 5'10". So given the fact that we don't know if crossing is good or bad this year, I thought it would best just to stay clear of him. Eder Militao obviously would be fantastic, but we don't know if he's going to be super expensive this season. Same with Diego Carlos. I would imagine he'd be quite pricey. So I'm going to go with the Sevilla centre-back, Kunde, not sure to say his name either way. He featured in yesterday's Best Players Under 10k video. I'm going to try and not include as many of those as I possibly could, just because it would be a little bit boring. Now, in terms of the fullback situation, again, you have plenty of options. Yuri, Gaia. Who else do you have there as options? Nacho, Firpo, for example. You could use either of those if you really wanted to. Given the fact that I've skipped him, it's pretty obvious that I'm going to go with Renan Lodi. Now, you could use Acuna, but his pace does let him down a little bit. I think he'd be better as maybe a super sub, bringing him on in any position you want. Mendy's going to have a little bit of a price tag, same with Alaba, so we're going to go for Lodi. 81 rated, decent pace, dribbling, and well-rounded in general, really, so you should be able to get him fairly cheap. It's a kind of a similar situation with the fullbacks for the right back. I mean, Ruben Penna, for example, you could go with him. He's not too slow, but his physical lets him down. Navas here is probably going to be quite expensive because he's one of maybe 3, possibly 2 higher rated fullbacks. Like Carvajal will probably be the more expensive because of his rating, and you know, people who don't really play Ultimate Team that religiously will go for Carvajal without really looking at his stats. Navas is probably the better option between the 2. However, I'm going to go with Kappa. Reason being, he has 88 physical and he has decent pace as well. Plenty of options in there, but I'm going to go with Kappa. Now, for the midfield, this is where things start to get a little bit stale for La Liga. You have options, of course you do, but they're not that great, you know. Like, you've got Thomas Partey, for example, good option, 84 rated, could be quite expensive, might not even be at Atletico at the start of the season. I would imagine he would be for FIFA, though, so if you are going to get him, you might have to act fast just in case he does make a move. Saul, yeah, a little bit on the slow side, same for Fernando. And then you got Herrera over here, which actually wouldn't be a bad card at all if you wanted to pick him up. And that's one of my options in replacement for a few of the cards that I've chosen. So Llorente is going to be the first player that I choose. The problem with Llorente is that he's already been dubbed one of the best starter cards in the game. Now, the problem with that is that if everybody thinks it, he's no longer going to be cheap, right? So you will end up spending a lot of money on this guy because everybody wants to get him. If you're lucky enough to pack him, happy days, and you know maybe you get him untradeable, maybe you don't care about the coins early doors and you're just happy to have him in the club, fair enough. In terms of the second player, you've already seen him. If I can pick him up, well, nope, he's disappeared. Never mind, we'll have to go look for him instead. So let's go over here, see if we can find him. He's not on this page either, which maybe suggests that I shouldn't be picking him up. There we go. Two of the players I want right next to each other. First one is going to be Coutinho. Now, you can guess, do I want Odegaard? Do I want Valverde? Who knows? I'm going to go with Coutinho. Now, the reason I want Coutinho in there is because that really high dribbling should make up for the pace. He's got decent passing in there as well, which is quite nice. Llorente is relatively defence-minded, as is our next player, who, I mean, I should probably have just typed in his name rather than frantically look around. Valverde, however you say his name. He is, again, much like Llorente, relatively defence-minded. So you've got two semi-CDMs in there as well as capable of going forward. Coutinho, who is going to maybe act more as a cam than he will a centre midfield player. You could, of course, change the 4-3-3 variation. I'm building all my squads in a 4-3-3 because that is a very versatile formation. You can kind of switch it around in-game as much as you like. But it gives us that sort of two wingers, that striker, the midfield base to work off. So I like that so far. The only issue with that, the defence will be cheap, right? I'm not worried about the defence or the goalkeeper. The only problem is at the moment the midfield could be quite expensive. I have given you a couple of options to switch out for Llorente and Valverde. I don't know though. La Liga's midfield does seem like it could be quite expensive. Going to go for the left-hand side. What players do we have on offer? Christian Teller would be a cheap and cheerful option. His dribbling might let him down though. That's the only problem there. Lamar is good, but I think he only has like a 2-star weak foot or something really bad. I'm going to go with, and this could be a mistake because it could be a player that ends up being really expensive. But before we actually select him, you do have some pretty decent options. If you want to move away from La Liga, you could pick the Watford left mid, De La Feu. I know people say his name differently to what I do, but I've picked it up from someone who speaks Spanish. So I think I'm in the right there. Let me know, Spaniards. Yeah, pick him up. You can put him in there because he'll fit in there for chemistry. Gonzalo Guedes looks decent. He always does, to be fair. I think he has 5-star skills as well. If you've got the money, of course, put Dembele in there by all means. Fati isn't a terrible option, but I am going to go with Carrasco. He could be expensive. There's every reason to believe that he could be because he's got a high-low work rate. He's got 91 pace, good dribbling, good shooting. He could be expensive. If he is, switch him out for one of those other players. In terms of the right side, and again, you've got loads of options with regards to those sort of pacey players. Correa, the cheap Messi, as he's always dubbed. Ocampos as well. Both of those actually were in the best players under 10k. Porto looks fantastic. Very happy that he's got a really nice high-rated card this season. Or, you know what I mean, 83, considering he had like a 78 rated card last year, I think. But good pace, good dribbling, good passing. I like that card a lot. Any other options? Hanani's not terrible for your very first player. And then you might want to look to upgrade him quite quickly. But I'm going to go with Rodrigo. He shouldn't be too expensive. I mean, I think he'll be around maybe 8, 9k. But he shouldn't be 30, 40,000 coins. He's a 79 rated card at the end of the day. And of course, your striker, you've got options, as you always have with these teams. You can put whoever you want there realistically, depending on what your coin situation is like. You've got a fair few pacey options as well. So we've got Inaki Williams. I mean, he's probably the more obvious one, like higher rated, because even if you've got loads of money, do you really want Griezmann in there? Do you really want Luis Suarez in there? They don't have any great deal of pace, and pace is always quite important in FIFA. It's not the be-all and end-all, but it is something that you always look for in a team. So as we move on, Isaac doesn't look that slow this year. Gamero looks like he could be a good option if you don't have hardly any coins at all. Wu Lei, again, if you've got no coins, doesn't look too bad. Avia. Now, he was a player that I put into my best players under 10k yesterday because I think he very much will be. His in-game stats speak for themselves. He's going to be a very, very good card. I'm going to go with Morales, though, to complete the team. And the reason for that is because he's got that 86 pace, he's got really good dribbling, and agility, of course, so he should feel very quick. He felt very quick in FIFA 20. And, of course, his finishing. If you give him the right chem style to boost up his finishing itself, you should be okay. And if you do decide that maybe he's not that great in front of goal, but you have got Carrasco. Carrasco has 81 shooting, so just switch them around. Use Morales as the left side, put Carrasco as the striker in game, and you'll get away with it. That La Liga team is looking pretty good. The midfield will run you money. That is the only problem with this side. So if you want to get rid of the two more expensive players, I think Coutinho will be quite cheap because people will underestimate how good he is due to his pace. Put Herrera in there instead of Llorente. Almost a like for like, not quite, but not far off. And then when it comes to the second choice, instead of Valverde, you do have a couple of players in there that could be decent. I don't know how cheap Odegaard is. Thomas Partey would be okay to put it. Well, he's going to be very good to put in there. It's just a case of whether Thomas Partey is going to be cheaper than Valverde. Who knows? Other options, I mean, thin on the ground, really. I'd probably go for someone like Coquelin, maybe, or potentially Canales as well. Canales looks like he could be quite decent. You lose that defence-mindedness in Valverde, but you do have a player who can pass and dribble and who should feel fairly decent on the ball. But that Herrera, that's going to be a bit of a godsend if you can't afford Llorente or Valverde. But either way, you've got plenty of options when it comes to La Liga. If you have enjoyed the La Liga squad builder, do me a favour and hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, and until the next time, goodbye.
Football Index. The game changed. Download the app now.